guys, this is Sanat Srivastav, and you're watching another episode of the Sales Wala Show. I'm here with Mr. Praveen Singh Lee, who is the founder of who is the founder of Thousand Founders Community, and we'll be speaking to him about his experience of sales, his experience of managing so many founders that we can't even list on a single piece of paper. So, Praveen, thank you so much for coming here, talking to us, and taking on this time. And it has been something that I would say very peculiar for me, a new experience to talk to you because 1,000 founders, it's a big thing. So just tell us, from a QA engineer, that is what your background says. For all these years, you shifted to becoming a founder of multiple companies. There was 99 Test,
Yeah,
then there is this community. How does the experience go? What made you switch from a proper QA engineer technical profile to a founder's profile?
great. Thanks a lot, Sanat. Great to be here. Pretty excited. So it is a 18 years journey, and in 2003 when I was starting off my career, the only names you could remember was Oracle, Infosys, and Java, right? So I have been through that journey, and after 8 years of corporate, I kind of started 99 Tests, which was a crowdsourcing platform for testing, where every user was rewarded for every bug. So the reason is of this craziness is I have always been going the other way. All my friends were jumping the career ladder from smaller to larger companies. I was going reverse. I started with a 50,000 people company, went to a 2,000 people company and said, no, I need to do better work. Went to a 20 people startup and then started up eventually. So my journey has been reverse, right? But I have the trend has been I've always been kind of chasing some trends. I started with databases, then enterprise service bus was hot at that time, and then virtualization was just taking off when I joined VMlogic, and which was acquired by Citrix, right?
Mhm.
And then outsourcing was taking off when I started 99. So that has been my journey, and I think the next 10 years is going to be all about founders. So I thought I should be in this field.
I see. So, founders has become a big word in your life, and
Yeah,
founding your own company, then talking to so many founders, 1,000 is a big number per se. So,
yeah.
how does this experience of talking to founders, being a founder, help you with the sales process? Because end of the day, be a founder, be a CEO, be a marketing guy, a tech guy, even everybody is selling
Yes.
to the company, to the outsiders. So how does that help you with the sales and what's your outlook on
That's a great question, Sana. Thanks a lot for that. Being an engineer, it does take a quite transformation to become a salesperson, right? So the learning from engineer to middle management to actually founding a company where I had to first of all convince my family that I'll start a company. They said, okay, those are 2 years le lo, abhi 10 years lag gaya.
that? Right.
So the sales process starts with understanding the other person, the conviction, and it's a learning process, right? And as like it's well known, a lot of people including Kunal Bhal has told that most people have arranged marriages in India, very few people go on dates. This was 10 years back.
Right.
Now the numbers are different. So now most people know how to sell, right? And selling essentially is understanding the context of the other person and positioning yourself of how you're going to add value to his or her life, right, at that point in time. So this has been my learning journey, that okay, engineer as an engineer always build the right product, right? That has been the training. But as I started the company, talked to investors, raised about $1 million in 20 minutes. It was just a conversation with Krish, co-founder of Infosys, right? So that's where you understand, okay, what are they looking for and how to position yourself in the conversation, not just go by scripts. And that takes a certain amount of skill and practice and confidence, that once you get that, now you can sell to anybody and anything.
No doubt, no doubt. So that's true that the scripts can help you to maybe get started in the career, but eventually it's all about
Yes,
understanding the other person's problem because you cannot keep on blabbering and expect the other
yes,
person to just get sold just because you're saying that stuff.
yes,
Now,
yes,
this brings me to another question that you have been selling into tech companies a lot. You have been working
yes,
with AI, you have been working with 99 tests, and all of that involves stuff that is not known to a lot of people. The end user doesn't
yes,
want to know
yes,
how your
yes,
testing works. All they want to know is
yes.
मेरा product चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है, इतना बताओ मुझे.
हाँ,
So,
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
how do you tell your sales team to convey this to your clients in a very nice fashion that your clients are convinced? Because if they don't understand what you're doing, they won't buy it. So how do you make sure कि इस
Exactly.
नई
That's
चीज
a,
के
that's
time में? your sales team is totally up to date?
That's a brilliant question, Sanat. Thanks for that. Right. See, most salespeople approach from their point of view. This is my product. This is my features. Right. And we end up so much time in the solution space, we forget the problem space. Right. So when I personally do sell or my approach is very simple: right audience and the right message. If you can just remember that much, and there is a right audience, and for them a particular message will resonate, right? And your deep understanding of the problem space, ये audience का problem क्या है, that differentiates the top 1% salesperson from the 99%, in my opinion, right? Not just telling, okay, these are my product, these are my features, but a deep understanding of the person, his position, and what are his general problems, spending time in the problem space and connecting it beautifully to the solution space. Let me take an example, Sanand, right? Suppose, I want to sell you a water bottle. What will I do, right? I will ask, hey, Sanad, how are you feeling today? How's your hydration? Are you okay? Usually, generally, how much water do you drink per day? How many glasses of water have you had since morning? And would you like to have this amazing Himalayan sparkling water which will quench your thirst? Right. So as simple as that. So of course, all this learning has come through experience, but yeah, connecting to the problem space with your solution can definitely what I would tell my sales team to kind of focus on.
That's how they sell things which are lesser known to people. But again, if you connect with their problems, you will be able to sell. Now, moving on forward with this particular conversation, I have a small rapid fire round for you. I'll be asking you 5 to 6 questions which you have to answer, very quick succession. And just to tell the audience, all of this is totally. Praveen is not aware of this. He has been told about this rapid fire just right now. So let's see what Praveen has to offer with these questions. Now, Praveen, my first question for you in this rapid fire round: what is your favorite part of a sales job?
Understanding the audience and their pain points and positioning it, right? How do I, even before I talk to somebody, how do I position the product or the offering to that person?
Right. Okay. Now, second thing, do you prefer working from office or working from home? That's the big question.
Obviously, working from home.
Yeah, with the garden in the background, I'm pretty sure you'll love to work from home. Okay. Now, the next thing, would you prefer a large client, but he's dicey, or would you prefer a small amount, but the client is confirmed that he'll come on board? What would you work on?
That's a great question, right? That depends a lot of it on the company, targets and revenues, right? If I have to hit a 1 million target in say 3 months, as a salesperson, my most important job is to prioritize my time. All right, how much time I need to do like 8 follow-ups or talk to the $1 million deal, a lot more attention than I give to smaller deals.
Right.
So it depends a lot on the company and the person. I personally prefer doing larger deals where I can have a deeper relationship with the client. So it's a very contextual question, depends on the product price and the company.
I see. All right. So the next question, when the client asks for discount कितना दोगे या कुछ कम कर लो, would you prefer giving a discount on the pricing, or are you rigid on the pricing but would offer extra services instead? What would be your sales strategy?
My first thing is, do I want this customer to my company? Right, agar ye customer chahiye, it's a value add customer and I know it will add value to both of us, and I'm not just selling for the price, I will give the required discount and get him on.
I see. So it all depends कि भाई बंदा कैसा है, उस पर depend करता है discounting. All right, fair enough. Now, one question that you have always asked while hiring. One question that you have always asked while hiring.
Yeah, tell me what is the most interesting thing you have done in your career, your biggest achievement, so and how you did it. So that gives a lot of context how the person approaches different challenges.
All right, and one last question for this rapid fire round: if you could go back 18 years, as you mentioned, that's the total experience so far. If you can go back 18, 20 years, what would you tell the then Praveen Singh about today?
Oh, yes, definitely save 10% of your salary.
Why exactly would that be like? Is there a context in that?
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you put everything, this is speaking as an entrepreneur, you put everything online, right? Your earnings and everything. And suppose it did not work out, there should be some safety for an entrepreneur, is what I feel. Yeah, even if you're funded, save 10% of your salary and invest, I don't know, not in crypto, but in a good investment.
Definitely. All right. So yeah, the backup money should always be there. That's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So that was the rapid fire round. I think that was pretty quick, and we got some real insights. Now moving on to our questions as we were talking. We did talk about hiring right now. Now, one thing
Mhm.
that always comes to my mind is that in India, a lot of tech companies tend to hire BTech graduates even for selling. Even for their
Mhm.
sales job, you call it business
Yeah,
development executive, call it anything, but it's ultimately sales, right?
yeah.
So, how true is that for selling a technical thing, you need to have a technical guy with that technical expertise, or would you just prefer somebody who's good at sales, irrespective of their technical background? What is your take on that? How would you do it?
Understanding technology enough is the prerequisite, right? There's a basic level of qualification one would need, that okay, at least has he upgraded his Android phone, right? Utna to
Okay.
technical hona chahiye.
Okay.
Right? And based on top of that, if you can pick up technology, right, like what does a CI/CD do, what is virtualization, understand it at a conversational level, and actually connect that to the human touch of the person and able to communicate your value proposition, I think that should be good enough. I would go with a driven person with good enough understanding of technology rather than a full technology person with lesser understanding of sales.
Okay, so you would prefer somebody who is more into sales at that time. So when you hire
Yeah.
these kind of people, Praveen, like, uh, what is it that you look for in that person? Because of course he's not coming from a tech background by default, as you mentioned. You are fine with
Mhm.
people who are not tech backgrounds as well.
Yeah.
But what questions do you ask, and what should a sales manager working in a tech company ask while hiring so that they can get the best of resources? What should they?
Uh, to get the best people is, of course, it goes little deeper. What are the person's motivations, right? Where does he want to be in 3 years, and can company provide the platform, uh, right? So I would look at a fit person fit first, and then the company fit, and then the skill fit, right?
Okay.
And then the company actually provide a driven person opportunity to exceed his quota, right? That I would first look at myself as the company, and then see if my ICP, ideal customer profile, or ideal salesperson fits to that.
All right. All right.
I
So
hope it was interesting, little contrarian, but yeah.
that's see totally the whole purpose is that we get a lot of different views because this is different. Being a founder, you have hired a lot of people and you have done a lot of things which regular sales managers don't do, but still that helps. So that's the whole point of it. Now, one thing, since you're in the tech background and sales is driven somewhere around calls, that can be different industry to industry, but somewhere or the other, calls are an important part of sales, be it inbound or be it outbound. You are into tech and we sell call management systems as at my operator. So how do you, find the importance of call management system in an organization? Have you implemented any? And if yes, then what has been your experience with that?
Okay, so that is very, very important, right? Just like the right audience to the right message, we need the right salesperson to the right lead,
Okay.
right? So how do we connect that? That is the essential. If you drop that, the lead becomes cold, right? So understanding and making sure you have a system to connect the right salesperson to the right lead is very, very, very critical. I do it right now on email mostly, with the email marketing that I currently use Calendly to configure, the right, there's a person in this time zone, and this person, any meetings comes is connected to him, right? And for calls, I would definitely suggest my operator and set the workflow that for the right area, right geolocation, or right designation, you have the right salesperson sitting there, and you're able to connect the lead to the right salesperson very, very quickly. This is organization responsibility. It's not the salesperson or the customer's responsibility.
Right.
If you do it well, of course, it will increase your conversions and revenue.
Oh, that's a good perspective on that. That this is not a salesperson's responsibility to look after what leads he's getting. His responsibility is only to
Yes,
selling. It's the organization that has
yes,
to do the work, and that's quite an approach you're following over there. With all that happening, with all this, calls happening and everything going on, all this tech background, and you have been associated, closely with tech. The motivation factor sometimes goes depleting, and the depression sometimes kicks in. You said you
yes,
prefer work from home. Now imagine somebody sitting throughout the day working on their laptop, making calls, and it might not work for a few days. We all know that, we have been
yes,
there.
yes,
Sales doesn't
yes,
happen in a day. So
yes.
what is your process or strategy in your own company? How do you make sure that your team is not so demotivated just sitting in front of the laptop? How do you connect with them, engage with them?
That's a great question. So thank you for that. Right. So the question is essentially how much of the responsibility to be a good salesperson is with the individual versus the organization, right? I would put it mostly it's with the individual, right? 60 to 70%. So it's the individual who picks the organization, and it's the individual who motivates himself to come on the job and sell, right? The organization gives you a framework. So I would say as a salesperson, you have to get up and be up and shining every day with a smile, right? So that is part of your job. That's how you live, right? And if it goes down, it has to be figured out whether the individual motivation or is it a group or company thing, right? Maybe some person is not motivated to take the same call 40 times a week. His personality and the organization might not match, right? But whereas some person is happy to do that, take 4 calls of the same topic every day. So organization has a responsibility in finding out the right person who's good for the right job and making sure he's productive, and if the productivity is down, figuring it out and putting him into a more responsible kind of position. So primary responsibility with the individual salesperson to be motivated, up and running, do whatever it takes,
Right.
and then the company should support you in being shiny up and with a bright smile every day.
Right, and that's a very different approach, to be very honest. A standard answer that we see on a lot of interviews on YouTube and all. What we see there is people are like, we'll talk to them, we'll have one-on-ones. But that's also a different approach, that it's the individual who has already selected that company. You had an interview with us, you spoke to us 3 times. You must have checked the company background. You must have decided that I want to work with them. Now, ultimately, it's your job to, the sales profile, right? Before joining,
Yes,
also, we know what we are going forward. Somebody who is a,
exactly.
let's suppose, a tech guy, he knows that he has to sit in front of the computer for the next 12 hours. He
And
cannot say
code
that
for 12
I
hours, right?
can.
He has to code. Yeah, he cannot say I don't like to code.
Right. He cannot just say, "Yeah, it's a lot of coding, I need some break." That's the job,
Yes,
man.
exactly, exactly. So job and person fit. That's the first.
That's the right thing. Now,
Yeah.
before I move on to the expert opinion from your end regarding sales and entrepreneurship, I would like to know just one thing from you. Being an entrepreneur, and you have studied from prestigious institutions as well. The thing is, there is no sales related course in India. There are a lot of marketing courses, marketing, HR,
Mhm.
international business. You name it, you have an MBA for that, somewhere or the
Mhm.
other. But there is no sales related, sales management, sales related course in India which is specific for salespeople. So, how do you think should a salesperson who wants to learn more go ahead when they want to become a manager or somebody? Because at times they ask for MBAs to become manager. But if a salesperson wants to
Mhm.
go ahead, what do they do, and how should they learn more about
They should learn to sell. No, that's the short answer. But yeah, personally, I have read a lot of kind of books. Subrata Bachi, Sell, and there's a demand side sales, the new concept, spin selling. So read a lot of books. There are a lot of material out there. Find your thought leader. I follow somebody called Subramaniam Subbu. He has a course. So I have put in a lot of effort trying to understand the human psyche and what makes a person change his mind, right? A sale is you're given the situation and person, you're motivating a person to take a decision on your favor, right? So it's a lot of reading and not necessarily courses, formal courses, but yeah, there are enough practitioners in the market than theory that we can learn from, right? So that would be my feedback. And keep yourself updated, read as much as possible, practice sales, and learn from the expert practitioners who are sharing their knowledge.
I see. So there is no formal courses that you would suggest that 10 to 7 days course into sales and that will be it. It is more about continuously reading some books, some
Yes,
material.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And
see.
follow the thought leaders, expert salesperson who are sharing in the industry.
Yeah. Can you name a few salesperson that you have been following throughout your journey so that people can know about
Yes, uh, his name is Subbu Subramaniam. I learned from him. He's my mentor.
them?
So he has a course on sales, and we do like a monthly catch up with sales guys, and he shares how he closed like large deals and what are the stories behind it. So more like a practitioner than theory, and I love it.
I
And of
see.
course, Subroto Bagchi, his book, and Demand Side Sales by I think with Steve Blank, the other co-author has written a book, Demand Side Sales, which is absolutely unbelievable. I would highly recommend that.
So that's a few books for our viewers there to read, to go through them, and of course the course that Mr. Subbu has. Now, just ending this interview with the expert opinion from your end, we are having two types of people around us. One who are the sales execs trying to become managers, trying to go ahead in life, or just simply trying to sell more. That's the idea.
Mhm.
And then there are people who are already sales managers, let's suppose they're TLs, or maybe an area manager, and they're trying to rise up to the ranks of a VP where you have
Mhm.
already reached in your career. So what are your three tips for first the people who are currently sales managers who want to move up in their lives, have a good team, and become a good manager? Simply put, what are your three tips for that?
Uh, Mine would be first of all, as an individual, make sure you're performing at your best. Then do whatever it takes to help your team become successful, and then your company, right? And if you do it in that order, obviously you will rise. It's a byproduct of your performance, right? Rather than having a tactic, add more value to your team, to your customer, to your company, and then your rise will be automatic. People will automatically ask you to rise. So that would be my process. Than thinking of a strategy of how to get the promotion over that guy.
So more importantly, it's the three-step process: work on yourself, work on your team, and then work on the company's goals. Eventually,
Company.
everything will add up, and you will rise up the ranks.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
I see. Now talking about the people who are sales executives at this time, and then they are running around in the field trying to make a mark for themselves. What are the three things that you can tell for them to grow in sales?
For them is kind of analyze the channels and the effectiveness, right? At that level, at the VP or senior exec level, what are the channels which are working, and be open for new channels which are working, right? Like when Aaron Ross started, he's written, he helped Salesforce grow to 100 million. Aaron Ross, right? He's the guru of inside sales.
Yeah.
So he started a new way to sell. There are enough models and strategies which are proven for enterprise sales, spin selling, and inside sales. There is Aaron Ross, and there are other channels which are opening up. How do you get to more people? Talk to you. So doing like a stack ranking of the stack rank your channels, which channel is leading, what effectiveness, kitna ROI aa raha hai, and then doubling down on the working channel. You can do 100% growth on what you're doing now, very very simply, with a very very simple pivot table analysis.
I see. So that is what for the executives. Now let's just end this interview with one last pro tip from your side for people who are at the most basic level or just joined sales and who are just completely new to the world of sales and might be listening to this interview thinking about यार sales सही है गलत है सही कर रहा हूँ नहीं कर रहा हूँ and might be thinking yeah Praveen is a founder already, so how does that add up?
No, no, I went to the same journey. I started my career. I'll make it a little personal, right? So I was an engineer. I started in QA. मैं बोला ठीक है QA में आ गया हूँ तो करेंगे. Rather than being an average developer, मैं अच्छा क्यों engineer बनता हूँ, right? So figure out your personal strengths and values and take a 10-year bet on हाँ ये मैं 10 साल करूँगा तो कहाँ पहुँचूंगा. अगर नहीं भी पहुँचूंगा तो और एक 10 साल का और एक bet लेना चाहिए,
Right.
right? So wherever you are, can you become good at it? If you have a passion, will you be peak productive and get the best results over a 10-year marathon is what matters, right? One day off, 1 month off, कि consistently आप कैसे perform करेंगे as an individual, and you have taken that conscious choice कि whatever the problems, there'll be 1,000 problems in the world, I will perform in spite of all of that, and then in 10 years you'll come out as a winner, right? So just look at that, look at yourself, do your strength finder test, do your MBTI, know yourself, right, first, and then figure out what the market and the world needs. I don't know if it's too philosophical, but that's what I follow.
No, that's actually very true, and I think that's also something that is unheard of, because a lot of people keep on telling ki, find your passion, find your this and that, but I think it's, as you have mentioned, it's more important to understand what you're doing right now. भाई अब आगे है, so let's try to be best at it instead of कि चलो एक साल करके देखते हैं, नहीं चला तो कुछ और कर देंगे. When you give that small timeline, you don't end up doing anything.
Exactly.
Average ही तो
And there's
रहना
a famous Bill Gates quote, right? You always underestimate what you do in 10 years and overestimate what you can do in 1 year. So take the long.
Take the long
Take the
shot,
long one.
and it's a marathon end of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Praveen, for all those insightful words that you just gave here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm pretty sure that all the people who listen to this interview would be getting something or the other to take home with them. Thank you so much once again for talking to us. What is your most loved part about the sales job? What do you love the most?
See, why I love the sales is because of one reason: you have a chance to interact with different people and companies, to understand different industries. That is the beauty of this profile, and it won't get you, it won't allow you to feel bored or feel monotonous in your life, because you are meeting different people, talking to them, so providing different solution. It keeps, it is also enable our mind to think differently for every product or every service wherever we are going to pitch. So it is very innovative. Obviously आपके दिमाग का सबसे सही काम सेल्स में ही होता है, बिलीव मी. और आई एम नॉट सेइंग सारे डिपार्टमेंट खराब हैं, बट ऑब्वियसली सेल्स के पास ये अच्छा एडवांटेज है कि आपके दिमाग का सही काम जो है वो सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट ही करता है.
पूरी तरह से आपके दिमाग को तोड़ देता है सेल्स.
बिल्कुल 360 डिग्री व्यू.